It's Financial Smarts Network. Now, here's Andrew.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Financial Smarts Network. It is 2020. Happy New Year to you, and welcome to a new decade. We've got an exciting episode tonight. And in the studio, I have two lovely ladies, Angelina Manolakis with All Things in Order, and Kaliah Henton-Jones with Henton-Jones Media. Ladies, welcome and Happy New Year to both of you.
Thank you for having me.
So,
to you.
how were your holidays?
Fabulous.
Yes, no complaints here.
I heard you partied hard.
I did.
Yeah, it's the time of the year. I see those Facebook posts.
Party with people's clutter.
Actually, that's what you do now, starting the new year, right?
Yes, very much.
Resolutions. This show is about resolutions. What can we offer to our viewers that maybe they haven't thought about or maybe they should consider so that way they can make up their New Year's resolution list? It's late January now that we're starting the show. But there's certainly still ample time for folks to kind of make their list and try to stick with it. I mean, obviously, studies have shown repeatedly that people abandon their resolutions either within days or within weeks, right?
Or hours.
Or hours, as Kaliah says. But why? I mean, it's, my biggest resolution is to always hit the gym, and my wife says you abandoned it, after the first session. So maybe I'm not too far off from any other people out there. But what's on your list? What do you guys have that you feel that people should work towards? Maybe kind of mimic what you guys are going to do, or just overall suggestions?
Well, you want to go first?
I mean, I could try. So for me, I think there's more action behind your intentions is a big thing for me this year. I really want to make sure that the things that come up in my mind that I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant idea, that I don't just put it on the back burner, that I really aggressively go after it and just see what that thing can become, right? The other thing for me is being purposeful with my intentional with my time with the people that I love. Sometimes we're with the people that we love, but we're on the phone and we're conducting business, we're still taking calls.
Yeah, here my wife will say all the time.
Taking emails, you know what I'm saying, responding to text messages. So I am really trying to be really purposeful and intentional about the time that I spend with the people that I love and making sure that I'm fully present when I'm with them. So I think
that's important, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned, a great point that you're looking to, I guess with your goals, your plans, something that comes to mind, kind of sticking with it and going, full force with it, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you have already kind of come up with, or are you saying you'll get into March or something and you'll find a new idea or something that can benefit you and then you'll kind of go with it for the rest of the year? I guess, is it okay? Do we really have to stick with, our January 1st list, or can we, is it okay to modify as we go along, throughout the year? And do we feel at that point that we're really not sticking to our New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like if I have an idea that's just been kind of plaguing me, and I know a lot of us have something that's really burning, that we're like, okay, if I just really give this thing my all in my time, even within the confines of your business, maybe it's starting a new initiative within your business that you never thought of before. If you really give that time and attention to that thing, sometimes along the way you're going to have to redirect, right? But the fact of the matter is you're playing that thing out. You're living that thing out. You're not letting it just sit in your mind and not bringing it out of your head into reality. So yes, I do think if you stick with it, you're going to have to make some adjustments along the way, but it's important for you to do that thing, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, and I think it's probably if I can kind of summarize it and how I view it, it's really kind of finding your purpose.
Absolutely. Right?
Whether it's personal, in your personal life, relationships, or your business, kind of finding your purpose. What are we here for in life, right? I got to listen last year and actually meet Common.
Oh, wow.
And it was his whole keynote speech was about finding your purpose in life. He says, other than that, he goes, really not much else matters if we don't know what we're going to do and what our purpose is in life.
It's very true.
My lovely lady, what's on your New Year's list? I know, other than partying hard on January, on December 31st, then Clutter. She's the Clutter.
I go into the new year full force, always. Could you lose some steam along the way? But honestly, mine is a lot of people want to get organized, and my purpose in life is to help people, whatever it may be, whether downsizing, moving, decluttering. But typically, I see a lot of people that want to get organized right now.
Is that
A lot.
just in the beginning of the year, or do you kind of find that throughout the year? I mean, just, what triggers people? Because obviously, at some point, we all have, something we need to get rid of, and we'll discuss that on a future episode.
Yes.
Obviously, we'll have a one-on-one and really get in depth. But it's at what point do you know that it's time to kind of get rid of your clutter? I mean, some obviously have more than others.
Yeah.
Yes, I do see that a lot. But I mean, quite honestly, anytime's a great time to get rid of your clutter, especially this time of year where new things have come in from the holidays. You need to get rid of some of the old things because that clutter can cause a lot of health issues, quite honestly, just anxiety, depression. People don't realize that.
I actually did some research on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Didn't
very
realize,
overwhelming.
People get stressed out over,
Yeah.
clutter. Of course, I live with the organized queen of my wife who keeps the house spotless. So
I might need to hire her.
no, good Greek girl. Everything. My brothers say that we can eat off of our floors.
Wow.
But it's just like oftentimes I say, "What are you cleaning?" She's like, "Do you think the house stays like this if we don't clean?" I'm like, and I tell her to stay away from the office. So those are the boundaries. those are the boundaries. Now you mentioned something, of course, is people having clutter and then getting more clutter from the holidays. So for me, it's of course one of my resolutions is to focus on saving money, being more money conscious in a sense, right? So you don't have to sort of break the bank in essence and not do anything, but you've got to kind of stick to some financial principles and figure out what, this is a time of the year where I tell folks it's time to review 2019, if you haven't already done so, and figure out what didn't go so well financially, what could change. Do you have a lot of debt? You're coming in from the holidays with credit card debt.
Yes.
Maybe it's, 17, 18, 19% interest rates. Maybe that should be the focus, right?
Yeah.
But, or if you're a business owner, we're in a good economy, but yet not every single small business does well. Some have cash flow issues, others have just planning issues, management issues. So there's a variety of things. But for me, of course, you call me the money guy or whatever you want to call me. So that's the money expert. That is, of course, first and foremost on the list because they say that money isn't everything in life, but of course,
You
folks,
need it.
without money,
Can't make a lot of things happen, right?
not much happens.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
much happens. But we have on this show, of course, we talk money. We'll be discussing a lot of things as we go along. This is our first episode to launch the show. And we've got health episodes coming up, lifestyle episodes, love, relationships, all kinds of stuff. But what's on besides the clutter? You're the decluttering queen, the queen of organizing, I should say.
I'm trying to keep the
Duchess.
crown, the Duchess.
The Duchess.
I like that one. Makes me sound even fancier.
But let's look at some other things. It's something that often people wouldn't put on their list. If you had to pick something that you would add to your list, it's kind of a little bit, in a sense, unique. What would you do for 2020? It's the new decade. Come on, girl, you got to give me something new. You haven't thought about besides decluttering. What else are you going to do for the new decade?
Well, actually, the next decade for me is going to be about growth. Just growing spiritually, mentally, financially. It's time to reflect on myself and everything that's around me. I want to grow.
So relationships, love,
relationships, everything,
business,
all of it. I just want it to grow and blossom and just be beautiful because the next 10 years is just going to be amazing. I'm going to hit 50 with a bang.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just a few years away from 50. So my bank's about to be going downhill. I've heard after 50, or is the 50 the new 40?
Yeah. Well.
That's what everyone tells me, I guess, to make me feel good. I'm like, just another birthday. And they're like, Andrew, you're almost pushing 50, but 50's a new 40. When I turned 40, they said, Andrew, but 40's a new 30.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
when you work through 14 weeks of a grueling tax season and you wake up at 2 a.m.,
You're like, I'm 50.
You don't feel
You don't-
20, 30, or 40, let me tell you.
You don't feel like a little spring chicken?
Not at all, not
yeah.
at all. Spring chicken, those days are long gone, girl, let me tell you. That's way past going my business. But But what do you have as far as unique? I mean, we all know the traditional stuff, but I want to hear your unique stories, what you've got on your list, particularly because it's a new decade, right? People are planning, at least I like to plan. I was halfway into last year planning what am I going to do for the next decade, because the next decade, at the end of the next decade, I'm pushing close, not to retirement, but close. Now, obviously everyone that knows me says, Andrew, you don't ever retire, but.
Yeah. You know what's funny for me? I've been listening to, since the start of the year, I've been listening to an audiobook of Profit First.
Okay.
And it has been so incredible for me. I think I've been managing my business financially in a very antiquated way. Listening to Profit First, it's just been like, oof, my eyes have been like totally open. And basically it's just like a simple system where they're telling you, he's explaining to you, the author, you take your profits first. Instead of, paying your bills and all these things, you establish a place to put that money. So I've been like, wow, I'm really enjoying that sense of organization that comes from really strategizing where my money is going,
I might have to look into that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty powerful. And Andrew, I'm sure you probably have had some knowledge of it as well.
That, and just what I often see, and I ask people, it's like, do you know where your money's going? Just the basics, and they're like, yeah, but, bills or this or that. But if you make people sit down and really get deep into it,
yes,
they're like, I didn't realize I spent X amount on this or that. It's just like, how could you not realize it? Do you not realize your car payment's $700 a month every month when you pay it?
And then your insurance is.
It's
I think we're all guilty of that.
it's interesting, but no, I can tell you. I can't tell you exactly where every dollar goes, but I know.
Yeah.
I know where my money goes.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a very interesting concept, that we often think that we pay our bills first, and then whatever's left over, then okay, that's profit. That's what's making money. That's the fruit of your labor. But the concept is you take that money first, and then all the other things will also figure out themselves. If you need to cut someplace, you'll cut. If you need to add to someplace else, you'll add. But taking your profit first is almost like a line of demarcation in the sand that says, look, this is what the priority is. When you go into business, you don't go into business for altruism. No. If you did, then you would go into, being a nonprofit. But you actually go into business to make money. So taking your profit first it's just been a mind-blowing change of concept.
Kaliah, you mentioned that, and I had a client one time, small business owner, I was trying to figure out where their money's gone, because they kept on saying we don't have any money left. The business was doing very well, and I'm thinking to myself, certainly there's something wrong. So when I was working on tax returns, tax time, we looked at it, and they were big, Christian family, big on tithing to their church, and certainly that there's no issue there. But I said, how much are you giving? They said, 10% of our money. Well, they were given 10% of the top line business revenues, which was really not 10% of the bottom line, because if you do the math, you're giving off the very top, not the bottom of your 10%. I said, you should give, but when you're given, if you have a 20% bottom line profit margin and you're given 10% of your top, you might be given, at the end of the day, for all all your profit, and that's why they were struggling. So when I told them, you got to change how you do the math and off of what number, they're like, oh wow, we never even thought about that.
And what's so interesting about that, as a person of faith myself, I think we're ingrained to be givers, right? Yes. We're ingrained to be charitable. We're ingrained to be part of our community. But one thing that we often don't think of that is a part of your giving is the time that you give, whether you give it to your church or you give it to a nonprofit or you work at your son's school or your daughter's camp, you volunteer. That's another form of giving as well. So we also have to support other constructs of giving in addition to tithing as well.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. Let's take a quick break, and we will be right back to continue on the tithing and the giving conversation. Folks, we'll be back in just a quick minute.
Today's episode of Financial Smarts Network is brought to you by professional organizer Angelina Manolakis and All Things in Order. Angelina has helped people through many of life's transitions in the last 6 years, such as divorce, moving out and into a new home, the busy moms working full-time, running kids to extracurricular activities, and the list doesn't stop there. It's perfectly fine to need or want a helping hand, and All Things in Order is here to help you, your home, or your business get organized. Contact Angelina today at 404-431-2273 or online at atio-organizer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back. We are back from break and we were discussing charities.
Yeah.
And tithing, nonprofits, and I know that's big for you.
Yes, it is. Because I love charity.
Okay.
I actually do a lot of charity work through my business.
Oh, you do?
Yes. So the clutter that I take from my clients' homes, it all goes to charity. Now, they can pick which charity they want, or I choose it for them. And what it does is that's my way of getting back to the community.
Interesting.
And people love it, and it actually makes it a lot easier for people to get rid of their clutter because they know it's going to someone in need at that time.
Because I was going to ask you, we're doing a future episode on, obviously, and you and your professional services, and I was going to ask you in that episode, which I'll wait till then, about what people do with their clutter. I just figured you just get a big old
Dumpster? Just dumped it? No. Some of it goes
So
to
you're
the
thoughtful, you're kind.
I am.
You have lots of qualities that I wasn't aware of.
I need all the good karma, so.
Are y'all going to do any traveling this year?
Maybe. I might go to Greece this summer. I might.
I might too. I haven't been in a long time.
Well, I
A
just
very
went
long
2
time.
years ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I try to go every other year. Try to take Nicholas, so give him
yeah.
the same opportunities
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
growing up.
My
Yeah,
opportunity was
so.
30 years ago. Haven't been back since.
Well, you should put that on your list of to-do.
It's on my list. Whether I can make it happen, that's another story.
We might just have to organize
trying to
your
do
life in a
I'm
way
trying
that
to do
you
it
make
with
it
points.
happen.
Yeah.
So traveling on a budget.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So are you all traveling on a budget if you go somewhere, or are you just spending the cold hard cash?
No, first of all, I'm always on a budget.
Oh, you
Yeah. That's true.
No, I have a house over there, so I don't have to pay for.
I thought we were friends.
lodging. I will hook you up, Andrew.
Damn,
It's
girl.
okay.
like you just feel like you're cheating on me here. All I see is stuff on Facebook, and you don't keep in touch. You don't text. You don't do anything.
They don't call her the Duchess for no reason.
Shelby, just because I'm married doesn't mean that she can't be like, hey, like I got a house in Greece.
You still want the benefits,
Right.
Yeah, but we're
Okay,
friends,
okay.
but not those kind of benefits.
No, we have a house over there because, in Greece you have to have a dowry when you get married, and my dad having 3 daughters, so there are 3 dowries.
Wow.
But, so what most people spend going to Florida for a week, I spend going to Greece for a month,
Wow.
which is kind of nice.
That's
I'm not
smart.
going to
I
lie.
was actually just messing with you because my wife has a house in Greece too, and so
Oh.
it doesn't cost much. Obviously, once you get there, the ticket's expensive,
Yeah.
depending on how far out you book it. But once you get there, it's for us as being Greek, it's rather affordable.
Yeah.
It is. You can
it's-
go too.
Oh, well, I receive it.
Yeah, you
I'll
can-
totally come.
I'll
I'll totally
we
come.
can go to Greece together.
Kaliah, have you ever been overseas?
I have. Well, I was born in Jamaica, so
That's right.
I'm naturally an island girl, and I've traveled a lot in my life. Matter of fact, one of my intentions this year too was traveling as well. So I had a friend who actually told me about this app, and when I tell you this app is just incredible. It's called I Know the Pilot. And have you ever heard of it?
Wait, I Know the Pilot?
I Know the Pilot, and it gives you discounted fares to any destination around the world. You can get tickets for a trip to Paris for $270
Oh, goodness.
round trip.
Good Lord.
Yes, so that's the thing that I've been I'm writing it down like every time
know the pilots.
yeah, I know the pilot, so get to know the pilot.
I've been trying to save points.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny with points, people realize, I think, it's just all these credit cards are offering,
Oh, yeah.
points, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
I just have, credit cards for the business, so we have so many expenses and softwares and all this, so eventually it adds up. But it's just like, I think I have like 200,000 points on Delta Sky Miles. And it's just like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is how much money I've spent.
Yeah, the reality,
To get
right?
a $1,500 fare to go overseas.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
spending things that I
Yeah.
have no need for. But it's a lot of people. I always look at folks that are like, yeah, just I'm getting points. I'm like, you could just pay for that fare
Yeah.
if you really want to have a reality check
You could.
and go somewhere without having to spend $30,000 to get 1,000 points or whatever the credit cards
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
are
yeah.
these
And the
days.
interest alone, because it's
Of course.
definitely going to charge you more in the long run.
Hmm.
Or get, I know the pilot. And it'll save you a whole bunch.
I'm definitely going to check that one out.
I just need a
You
friend
got
who's
any
a
family
pilot.
in Jamaica?
I do,
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
We'll
So
trade,
we'll
we'll
talk.
trade.
Yeah,
Hey, Kaliah, I just need a friend who's a pilot with a private jet.
That's even better, right?
Just so I can, just text them and be like, hey, can we,
Yeah.
go to Vegas for the weekend,
Yeah.
with your private jet? I just
No,
don't have,
not
I don't have
with
those
you.
kind of friends yet.
Well,
Maybe
the
I should
show's
put-
gonna get you. So.
Maybe I should put that as my decade resolution.
Yeah.
I
know
think
the
you
pilot
should.
personally.
I think you need to get out a little bit more, Andrew.
I mean, I'm confined
For
in my
sure.
little office, and I do need to get out, right?
You
Yeah.
should.
Some of my friends tell me I need to go to the beach, get a tan. Others tell me I need to get out and go mingle and be sociable. I mean,
I'm not
aren't I
lying, you're
friendly?
kinda pasty.
I mean, aren't I friendly? Thanks. Thanks so much.
I mean, you're Greek. You got to represent.
Well, actually, just to not get off topic, but I'm a real Greek.
I know, I'm happy.
Because true Greeks are actually light skinned. They're fair skinned as opposed to dark skin.
Now, let's love one another.
I
love Andrew.
Look, if I didn't love her, she wouldn't be on the show here, But she's just busting my chops for no reason today. Lifestyle stuff.
Yeah.
One for me, moving into the new decade, in the new year, trying to be a better person overall, and just sort of random acts of kindness, right? So I'm calling one of my resolutions paying it forward.
Yeah.
Paying it forward as in mentoring others, or paying it forward simply as a random act of kindness, going through the Starbucks drive-through, and you pay for the person behind you.
I love it when people do that.
I've had that happen
Me
one
too.
time.
I love
I
it.
pull up and I was actually traveling, teaching. I think back in the days it might have been for Auburn University. And I was coming in from Auburn. And I stopped by the Starbucks and I just drive through and the ladies, I place my order, get up to the window, and she goes, your drink's been paid for. I'm like, paid for? Last time I checked, I still had the credit card in my hand. She's like, no. She's like, the gentleman in front of you bought you a drink. I'm like, oh man. The little things we don't think about. So I bought the person behind me a drink, and then it continued on like that. But just little things like that. I think we just, we get so caught up into social media and negativity, and we have, obviously, just political environment that's very controversial.
Yeah.
But all that aside, I just really think that those little small things.
Yeah. The human touch.
That can
yeah.
that can touch that can
Mhm.
just touch a person's a person's life for the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's I'm trying to be diversified with my list this year versus it just being all financial stuff. Right?
Yeah.
When I was younger, it was like, okay, the money and this and that, saving. But when you're pushing close to 50, it's really no longer kind of about just the money. It's because you realize that we don't know if we'll be here tomorrow.
Right. Right.
I've started having some of my closest, oldest friends or oldest clients that have been with me for almost 24 years, 23 years start dying off. I'm like, wow, that's a scary thing. We used to go to weddings all the time. Now it's just lately it's been all funerals. And
Wow.
You don't realize that the life gets shorter.
Yeah.
it sure does. It sure does. If we
And, I mean, it's also important for us to look at our humanity in a total picture, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just finances. It's not just travel and play. There's a full picture that we have to look at when we look at our lives. And when we start thinking about planning for the future, we have to, even though we have certain areas that we want to focus on, it's important for us to keep that entire picture together,
Absolutely.
And, I think it's powerful as human beings that we remember like Andrew said, that life, it comes and goes. You know, sometimes you think, oh my God, 70 or 80 years that's so long. But then if you think about like the breadth of humanity, 70 years is not that long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's at my age, and I'll be polite and not ask your age.
Oh, I don't mind
Since y'all-
telling my age. I'm proud I've made it to 40 years almost, so. But I plan on making the next 40 years a lot better than the last 40 years.
Yeah.
So it's, I just, obviously, most don't know, but, doctors virtually pronounced me dead when I was, at birth because of some congenital heart issues. But, I look now, fast forward, at 47, I just turned 47, and I'm like, man, life is short.
Yeah.
And you set your priorities as to what really matters versus just, waking up every day without a plan. Whether it's, a relationship that you're focusing on, whether it's financial, whether it's lifestyle, health, but you got to have a plan. Life's just too short. I mean, it's just after seeing some of my closest friends just die off unexpectedly, all of them unexpectedly. One goes in for surgery, comes out dead.
Wow.
Another one goes in for surgery, never even makes it to surgery.
Right.
It's just like that was my, my Jamaican friend that we've discussed before, right?
Yes,
70 years old. It's just, healthy as it could be. At least he appeared, and, blood clot in the foot took him away.
Yeah, you just never know.
But yeah, relationships. I know your life, your love life is complicated. Shall I ask?
I mean, it's only complicated if you make it complicated.
Our viewers are watching, so should I market you as single and ready to mingle? I know you've got
attached.
Single and attached. I saw complicated on Facebook the other day.
Yes.
So what
that was just to stir some. Stir the pot a little bit.
You did a great job.
Yes, I did.
You did a
But people pay
job.
attention to those things, believe it or not.
Let me tell you what, I put a tweet or a Facebook post or something on social media, and I get zero reaction. You just simply changed your profile to complicated, your status to complicated, and it got very complicated very quickly.
It did. I was not ready for that response.
Yes.
I really wasn't.
I was going to respond, but then after I saw the beating you were taking,
Totally should have.
I just laid low.
Totally should have happened.
Didn't add any fuel to that fire.
But it doesn't,
okay.
relationships for me.
I like it hot.
Yeah.
I'll stick away from this one. Relationships for me aren't necessarily, obviously, necessarily whether you're single or married. Relationships could be other things. I mean, some people have children, they're divorced, focusing on a relationship with your kids, making that better, as your kids get older, maybe spending more time with them because we all get, so involved in our jobs and our daily lives, getting up every morning and, hustling to work and fighting traffic and being stressed out, coming home, like you said, being on the phones, the emails, really never paying attention to your loved ones. That doesn't necessarily mean it's your husband or your wife. It could be the kids. It could be your parents, right? As we get older.
Yeah.
So.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's, it really is, like, because we have to realize that we live in different times now. We don't live in a time where, we would come in and watch the news at 6 o'clock and, eat dinner by 6:30 and, go to bed by 8 o'clock. We're almost always, our brains are almost always working, almost always on the hamster wheel, absolutely.
Hear, hear.
So it's really for me. It's really important for my relationships to continue to be a source of strength for me because that is my base. That's where I go back to when business is having challenges or business is doing wonderfully. They're the people that kind of remind me, you're Kaliah. Right? So it's really important for me to maintain those relationships, whether it's with my family or with my friends or with people who are like family sister friends or sister guy friend or brother guy friends from years. Those are the people who know you, and those are the people who are going to keep burning that flame in you so that you can continue doing the work that it is that you do.
Definitely.
Last one because we're running out of time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
30 minutes goes by quick.
Wow.
But, and I'm going to throw this one at you, just
Okay.
knowing your past, not to obviously disclose a whole lot on air, but removing negativity from our lives, right? I think for me, that's another one I've got on my list for the year, and I think a lot of people do, right? Just we get so involved in we get out of certain situations, whether they're personal, business, and whatnot. We just feel like, we got this bitterness and hate, which kind of just doesn't drive us well in other aspects of life. So
Absolutely. No, and I mean, removing anything negative or toxic in your life is a really big part of growth.
Yeah.
Which is what I've learned. So I've forgiven a little, a little more easily. And as far as, just removing anything toxic in your life, if it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't make you happy, and it doesn't resonate with your being, then let it go.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything. So that's just how I feel about that. But if you can't grow and you remain stagnant, then you're being toxic to yourself.
Yeah. And it bleeds over into other areas
It
of your
does.
life.
It really does.
all aspects of your life.
Yeah, it does. You think that, your unforgiveness or your issue with a particular person is only compartmentalized to where you are, but unfortunately, it bleeds over into other
does.
areas.
And oftentimes without us really
challenge.
realizing that, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in charge of
absolutely.
your own happiness.
So yeah, you are. You're
You are.
absolutely in charge. And I will say this thing, it's something that I continuously work on in myself, and I have friends that work on it too. But comparing yourself to other people, where they are in their lives, what they have, how they're doing, the things that they're doing, comparison is totally the thief of joy.
It is.
And you cannot enjoy anything that you have when you're totally busy focusing on what someone else has going on. So that's another thing that I'm also keeping in my little handbag.
Social media has a lot to do
And I'll
with
close
that.
out by saying, rephrasing what you said, which is keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh,
Yes.
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 The Joneses.
You are my dear the Jones.
So true.
Folks, that wraps up our segment for this evening. Ladies,
Yes,
thank you so much for being on. You can follow Kaliah on social media,
absolutely.
Twitter.
At Kaliah Jones, or you can also visit my website, Henton-Jonesmedia.com.
And you, Angelina.
And you can follow me on social media. It's Angelina, All Things in Order.
And of course, for me, I'd love to have you guys as followers, so if you would follow the show every Tuesday evening at fsntalk.tv. You can catch me on Twitter at Andrew G. Poulos, or on Instagram at Andrew Poulos, Facebook, and everywhere else. Apparently, I'm all over the place these days. So.
You have to be.
Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We will see you back here next week, same time, same day. Have a blessed evening.